After you've sent out your form and gotten some responses, now let's take a look at how you manage those responses. At the top of your form, you'll notice that there are two tabs. To see your responses, you're going to click on the Responses tab. I would like you to notice that in a circle next to responses, you'll see the number of responses which you've received. When I click on the Responses tab, I get several different sub-tabs: a Summary tab, a Question tab, and an Individual tab. I'd like to talk to you about each of these tabs. The Summary tab provides insights with graphs and charts of your number of respondents, frequently missed questions, your scores, and each of the questions will show the text responses, graphs for those that can be graphed, charts for those that can have charts, and it basically gives you a quick way to access how your responses are looking overall for your form, basically a summary. On the Question tab, you'll be able to view each question individually. This gives you an overall idea of how respondents answered a particular question. At the top, you have a drop-down where you can choose any of your questions and then receive all of the answers of your respondents in one place for that particular question. This one's easy to see because you can see that I've only received 2 responses. Were there more, I would scroll further down. So you can keep looking at individual questions and look at how they did on those individual questions. The last tab is the Individual tab. This is where you get to choose one particular respondent and see all of their responses in one place. So I can click on the top and choose any of my respondents this way. Once I choose a respondent, it shows me all of the answers that individual did, including any feedback that was released and whether or not it was correct or incorrect. This is where you can also go to grade your responses. For example, remember this was an open-ended one, so this is where I need to come and score. Now that was out of 10, so I have to decide what I want to give this individual student, and you'll know it says edits are pending. So after I've entered my grade, I can keep going and see if there are any other questions that I need to answer. This one was incorrect, so I don't need to do anything there. This is one that if I wanted to provide a score for each of these answers, I could, but I left that at 0, so I'm not going to change any of those responses. So in this one, I do want to show you something you may decide to do. This is one that was a choice box, so there are multiple answers that are correct, and what you'll see is this person got 2 of the questions correct, and then this one they missed. So I could decide to give them credit for the 2 that they got correct. They won't get all the way up to 5 points, but they'll at least get credit for what they answered correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and give them 2 points so that they got at least those 2 correct. Then I have to check images. Remember, that's not going to check any uploads. You'll have to do that on your own. So I could click there, look at the upload, and if it's correct, I can give them their full score. And again, these 2 questions didn't have any score associated, so I don't have to give them a score for that. When I'm finished, I can click Save, and that saves the total points. So this person got 54 points out of 80. Now what I also want you to notice on this Individual tab is it shows the score has not yet been released. I can choose to release this one individual score if I want, but that's just going to release it to this individual. If I'm doing quizzes, I like to release the students' scores all at once so that I don't have one student getting their score before another. So if you would like to release everyone's at once you finish grading, you can go over to the Summary tab and click Release Scores to release everyone's at the same time. Now this is because I chose not to release scores when they submitted because I knew I had some open-ended scores that I had to grade individually. Now, had I gone into settings and said immediately, then I would not even have to come and do any of this grading. So just something to think about. So again, you can view a summary, view by question, or view by individual. Also at the top of your form, you'll notice a toggle where you can turn off accepting responses. This is helpful if you have a form that you're trying to get information from by a particular date. So for example, if today were the ending date and I didn't want to get any more responses after today, I would simply toggle this off. And what you'll notice is you have a place where you can put a statement as to why the form is closed. This is a great way if you're trying to you're filling out or doing a survey and you're trying to get responses back and you want to do something with that data. As long as data is coming in, you're not able to base decisions on static data. So you can actually turn this off and say, sorry, but we're no longer accepting responses. It's past the deadline or whatever, but it's just a toggle on or off. The other thing that I wanted to draw your attention to is at the very top. You'll notice that's the Google Spreadsheet logo. If you want your responses to go into a spreadsheet, in addition to being part of this automatic response collection for your Google form, you can click Create Spreadsheet. It'll ask, do you want to create a new one, or is there an existing spreadsheet you want to use? Most of the time you'll probably do Create New Spreadsheet. What that will do is it will show all of your questions across the top, any scores, the email addresses, and the timestamps when these were taken. This may be helpful for you to keep things in a spreadsheet form. It's just entirely up to you. If I close this and I want to get back to that spreadsheet, now that it's created, I simply click there and it will take me directly to it. So that's a quick way to create a spreadsheet for your scores. Additionally, I want to draw your attention to the three-dot menu at the top of the Responses tab. This is a great way to get email notifications for new responses. The reason that I like to use this is if there is something that I've asked, for example, if I just have a form that's ask your teacher a question, and it's not something that I assign every day, it's just kind of a random form I have out there, and I want to know when a question gets inserted into that form so I can make sure and go and answer the student in an efficient manner. What I'm going to do is say get an email notification for new responses. That means as soon as someone fills out the form, I'm going to get an email. Now, if this is a quiz that all my students have to do, I'm probably not going to turn on email notifications for that form. So it just depends on if you want to be notified. There's also Select Response Destination, which we already did with our form, but this is where you could get to it if you had not done that yet. You can also unlink your form from the data. You also can download your responses to a CSV file or print all your responses. If you have downloaded everything and you want to use this form again, but not keep the data from 2 times of using it into the same spreadsheet or into the same form, you can also delete all responses. That cleans everything out but allows you to still use the same form link, the same form, and the same data sheet. It just deletes it. But you'll want to make sure that you've downloaded your responses if you need to keep them for archival purposes. So super simple to deal with questions. Now we've gotten our responses and we've learned how to deal with those and how to navigate those separate tabs for looking at that content. Hopefully you found this helpful to learn how to navigate the responses to your Google Forms.